So hello friends, hope you are all well at your home. In this lecture, I am going to discuss a topic that is related with industrial engineering subject, that is of 6th sem mechanical engineering. Now the chapter name is Entrepreneurship and the topic from that chapter is different sources for industrial finance. Now here what this topic tells us about is whenever you are starting a new venture, if you are becoming an entrepreneur, so initially you will be requiring some kind of funding or finance or money. That is one important aspect that will be needing, right? So how to get this finance, how to collect this money from different sources, that we will be discussing in this tutorial. So let us move further. Basically, whenever you are requiring this money, we can classify this in three types. One is a long-term financial need, second is medium-term financial need, and third is short-term financial need. Now this long-term financial need includes the finance that will be requiring for around 5 to 10 years, right? This money includes the finance that is required for buying land for your venture or for infrastructure, the money that is required for equipment, machinery, labor, all that you can include in this long-term financial need. That is a large amount, right? Then second is medium-term financial need. Now this medium-term financial need includes the money that you will be requiring whenever you want to develop your organization. That will be included in a future scope. After establishing your organization, when you want to develop further, then you will be needing this kind of money. And basically the time that will be around 1 to 5 years duration for medium-term financial need. And the third and last one is short-term financial need. Now this includes the money that will be requiring in less than 1 year, 0 to 1 year. Now this money is some kind of expense that you have not predicted. There will be some money that you will require that is unexpected. You have not planned, but something happens and you will be requiring money. Those are included in this short-term financial need. So these are the three types that you can classify for financial needs. Now let us move to some elements that tells us about sources, how to get the money, right? So first source is equity financing. Now what is equity financing? Here what a company will be doing is an entrepreneur will be representing or presenting his idea to some investors, and investors will be listening to him, and based on his idea what they will do is they will invest some amount of money in that entrepreneur venture, right? So whenever they are investing this money, they will be becoming certain percentage of owner of that company. For example, a person is or one investor is investing some money, then he will be becoming 10% owner or 5% owner based on the investment, right? So in equity financing, after investing the money, the investor will be becoming certain percentage of owner of that company based on the amount of investment. That is called as equity financing. So the entrepreneur will be getting some kind amount of money to grow his business, right? That is the first source, that is equity financing. Then one more source is debt financing. Now this is similar to equity financing, but there is a small difference. In debt financing, the investor will be investing some money in the company, but after investing, he will not be getting any kind of ownership here. In equity financing, the investor was becoming owner to certain percentage, but in debt financing, the investor will not become owner, but he will be getting some amount of interest based on his investment for certain time interval, right? He will be getting some amount of money or interest for certain time, but he will not be becoming the owner. That is called as debt financing. Then one more is preference shares. Now here the preference share gives the advantage of both of these, equity financing as well as debt financing. What is the difference here is this will be sharing the advantage of equity financing, that is of becoming an owner, and the advantage of debt financing, that is getting some amount of interest money, right? So in preference shares, after investment, the investor will be becoming an owner also, and he will be getting some amount of money also for certain time interval. So this preference share is more beneficial than those debt finance and equity finance, because it shares the advantage of both the previous methods, right? That is called as preference share. After that, one more is financial institution. Now this financial institution, you may include some government institutes or government organization that they provide some amount of money to the entrepreneur, or they will be motivating or encouraging an entrepreneur to grow his business, right? By providing some amount of subsidy. You may have listened about subsidy, that they will be providing some amount of subsidy, or indirectly they are giving some money to the to the entrepreneur to develop his business. So there are some government or non-government institutions, they give the money to the entrepreneur to grow their business. That is called as financial institution. Let us move further. One more is venture capitals. Now what is this venture capitals? Now here also the entrepreneur will be representing his idea or model to the investor, but here the investors will be a previous entrepreneur, a person who has developed or who has become entrepreneur by doing the hard work. He will be giving the money to the freshers, right? So here the person who is already become an entrepreneur, he will be more experienced, so he can see very brightly in the future, or he can see clearly that this business will grow or not, this business model is good or not, that he can differentiate very successfully, right? So here the person who is already an entrepreneur, he will be investing the money in the new venture, right? That is called as a venture capitals. Then one more is loans against assets. Now here these loans, you may have listened that a person may give or utilize some assets. For example, he may utilize some asset as land or as his home, right? So based on his valuation of this home or land, he will be getting some amount of money, right? So after getting money, he will grow his business, and after he earns the profit, he need to repay that loan, and after repaying that loan, the asset will be owned by that person, right? So for certain time of interval, that asset is mortgaged, right? That is called as loans against assets. These assets may be valuable things, like you can also take example of gold. That gold is also valuable thing. Then home, then land. So based on those assets, a person will be getting money as loan. Then he need to repay those amount. That is loan against assets, right? Then next is lease financing and hire purchasing. Now these both things are similar to each other, but there is a slight difference. In lease financing, there will be two parties. One will be investor and second will be an entrepreneur. So here what goes is first party, that is called as leaser. What he will be doing is he will be giving his asset to the second party, and the second party will be paying certain amount of money for certain amount of time interval, right? So for example, second party is paying money for around 50 years. After 50 years, the time interval is over and the money is paid in certain time interval. So after that interval is over, the asset will be going to the first party, who is the original owner, right? That is called as lease financing. In hire purchasing, when the first person gives the asset to second person for usage, and the second person pays the money for certain time interval, but after completion of time interval, the asset will be owned by the second party, right? There is a small difference. In lease financing, the original owner remains the same, but in hire purchasing, the first party will be original owner, but after the completion of time period, say 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, after that completion, the owner will be changed and the second party will become the owner of that asset. That is called as hire purchasing. There is one kind of purchasing, but by paying the money in small amount for certain time interval. That is called as hire purchasing, right? So these are some of the resources that you can utilize, an entrepreneur can utilize to develop his business. Everybody knows that it is not necessary that each and every person will be having such a large amount of money initially, right? So he will be needing money at any stage. So an entrepreneur must know from where to collect the money to grow his business, right? So these what the different sources, those who are related to the finance, so that you can get the idea what from where to collect the finance for your business, right? Thank you for listening.